Welcome back to the shop. We need a box for a quinceanera, so let's get going on it here. We're going to use this curly maple I picked up and some purple heart. So let's get to cutting this down and start milling it. So we've got our curly maple, and we've got our top and our bottom walnut purple heart. I'm going to go ahead and plane these down, but I wanted to note that these aren't final dimensions. Like this is going to go in 2, and we're going to go purple heart, walnut, purple heart. Same with this one. This is going to get cut into 4 pieces. We're going to go ahead and joint these boards using the level trick. Now that both of these have one good side, we can flip them over, bring our fence in, again set it to take off a sliver, start it up, and we'll cut these down. I'm going to do the same process on the maple. These were jointed before on one side, so I'm going to go ahead and make them both the same width and clean up the one bad edge on this one, and then we'll go ahead and start cutting them down, gluing them up. We're going to go ahead and cut our purple heart down to 15 inches, about halfway, for our panel glue up. And while we're at it, we're going to cut our walnut down, just to make it easier. So I had some audio problems with my recording, but we basically glued up the top and the bottom with purple heart and walnut, as you can see here. Okay, we've unclamped our 2 panels. We're going to go ahead and give them a quick run through the planer, just flatten them back out, get the glue off and stuff, and then maybe run them through the drum sander real quick just to smooth them out a little more, and then we'll start on our box. So let's get that done quick. Okay, so I got it mostly flat. I got some spots I need to clean up a little. I got some burn marks in here from this drum sander. It needs some tweaking. So to make myself feel better, I'm going to go ahead and sand these up through the grits just so I know they're good, and then we'll work on cutting them down and then start on, not too much, but I do want to get a rough idea how they're going to be so I can make sure I make the box a little bit smaller than that and then final cut these. So I'm not going to take you through the sanding. Everybody knows how to run a random orbital sander, so that's next up. So what I'm trying to figure out in this maple is I need to make the box. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to 15 because I've got about 50 inches here. So I'm going to cut 2 15s and 2 10s out of here, which will be oversized, but that'll give me enough to put my miters on them. I haven't decided if I want to do that on the table saw or on the miter saw. It's just a hard choice. So, but let me go ahead and at least get these chopped down a little bit more manageable pieces, and then we'll go ahead and get that angle. I forgot to record it, but this is the setup I used for doing these. So basically I lined it up, turned on the light, and got it so where I could see it. Don't put my finger there, even though it's plugged in, so sorry. I could see where it was on the wood, and I basically made the initial cut, flipped it around, set up the stop block, kind of did the same thing, got it lined up, set the stop block on the first one so that I could repeat it on the second one. Then with the longer ones, repeated that whole process. So now we have our 4 boards. So as I said, now we have our 4 boards. We can go ahead and put them in a box, but first we're going to put the dado set in the table saw. We're going to go ahead and put a dado in these for the bottom to fit into and the top to fit onto. Let me real quick go over the setup with you. Using just the 2 dado blades, I think that's a 1/4 inch maybe. I'd have to look. Smallest I can pretty much go without just being a single blade. Sacrificial fence, because we're going to go right up against it, right on through. We're going to do both sides, the top and the bottom. And we'll go ahead and get that run and see how it looks. Okay, things are looking how I want them to. It's all coming together here. Before I can glue it up, I'm going to go ahead and sand the inside of this. And I already took the top and the bottom to 120, but I may go up another either the 180 or 220 on those. But I got to get the inside fully sanded. The outside we can do once it's together. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to keep you on camera. Just watch me. So back. Okay, back in the shop today. Everything is sanded up to at least, I believe, 180, maybe 220. 180. Seems good. We might do one more at 220. But in any case, what we're going to do next is take some precise measurements of this and this and get the bottom cut down so we can glue the bottom in when we glue the miters. We're not going to glue the top in. This is the bottom, actually. We're not going to glue the top in just yet. I got a little more stuff I'm going to do it, but I am going to cut it at the same time I cut the bottom because I want it to be the exact same dimensions. So let's get that done. 12 and 1/8 is what we've got there. 23 30 seconds. Doesn't hurt to measure both just to be sure. So what I'm doing here is, first I'm going to rip these down on the table saw to the right width. You know, the length is easy because I can take that anywhere. So, you know, I'll just go ahead and square off an end, measure, take off the other end, sneak up on it. What I can't do is just go and rip down one side unless I want the walnut to be offset, and I would like it to be in the middle. So I'm going to do some maths here. And we need 7 and 23 30 seconds, but I got to figure out how wide it is, subtract it, divide it by 2, and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the math, get that all set. We'll get the table saw set up, and then we'll go ahead and rip those. Unplug the saw, fix my idiot move. First I just slap her in there quick and didn't even pay attention to the tooth because I picked it up and thought I had it right. Good thing we'll be cutting that piece off that we just burned into that wood. So I kind of changed my mind and decided to do the cross cuts on the miter saw because it does have a little better blade than I have for the table saw. It's one of the things I need to get a better blade over there. So we're going to go ahead and first put a nice clean edge on one side. See, I get nice clean cuts on there that it's just not worth doing it somewhere else. We are going to throw a 45-degree chamfer on this, doing the end grain first and then coming across the side so that if there's any tear out, we can take care of it on the ends. And then we'll go ahead and probably sand that and glue up the box. So we made a bit of a mistake here, and as you can see, even if I show it on this side, the dado goes all the way up to here, and I cut it down to here. So I'm going to have to go ahead and cut these panels down a little more to make it fit right. So I'm going to measure that up, correct it, and then we'll glue it up. Okay, so we've got our box ready to glue up. I've gone ahead and put, mine's orange, but basically blue painter's tape underneath. So that way we can basically tape it up and then clamp it. So we're going to go ahead and put some glue on here, right on these miters. We're going to try and keep it more to the outside because we have to sand that yet. Trying to minimize squeeze out on the inside. And then we are going to put the bottom on, but not the top just yet. The other thing I could have done and I didn't was I could have taped the inside of these, but then I'd have to get it off. We're just going to try this. Yeah, we have squeeze out. Lots. Well, we may as well. Oh. Not bad looking. Small touch on a square, but you know what's going to bring that in the square? It's putting it on its base. So let's go ahead and do that. I want the light bit of glue right here. Really. See, that has about a perfect fit. So I wanted to add a little flair to this, just to give it that angled kind of a look. Okay, that looks good. We're gonna go ahead and sand this down nice and smooth where I cut it just now, and then we're gonna glue it in there. So now that everything is glued up, we did some sanding on the outside, but we're gonna do more because we're gonna put the splines in. What I've decided is I want one spline in my lid, so I'll have one towards the bottom and then probably two more in the middle. There is my first 4. I'm gonna go ahead and move it closer to put some on the inside and repeat the process, and then we'll go ahead and put them in. And now it's just as simple as pretty much glue them in. So I'm going to keep doing these all the way around the box, then we're going to let them dry completely. And then we're going to take a flush trim saw and go right on down and flush them all off. So I'll show you that in a bit. Sorry, my audio went bad again, but I'm using a flush cut trim saw here to cut the splines. And I should have put a playing card between the box and the saw to keep it off there. But I'm just going to go ahead and cut all these. We're ready to cut the lid off of this box now. What I've gone ahead and done is, instead of using one of my actual table saw blade, which is, I forget the thickness on this one, but I don't know if it's a thin kerf or not. Came with the saw and I've used it, so. But I know this one is much thinner. This is a circular saw blade, just a 7.5 inch or whatever, 7.25, I forget. And that one's rubbed off. In any case, that's on here. So I've swapped it out. I actually had one that came with my circular saw that's brand new. I've gone ahead and set the depth to where we'll be cutting through. So it probably could come up just a small touch more. And I've gone ahead and set the fence. So I'm going to go ahead and start at the dust collector, grab my hearing protection, and we'll go ahead and run this through. One of the other things I'm going to do is I'm going to be using the micro jig here on the cut. So there'll be a point where this will have a line through it. We'll use this to push it through so that we can keep the gap in there so we don't have it do any of this and cause it uneven. So let's get that cut. You can see now that our lid fits really well. We'll probably have to do a little touch-up sanding. I did have one mistake, and I can see it. It's right back here on the back corner. So when I did this side over here, you can see it kind of came off the fence a little bit. What it did was it created this little gap. Now, I have 2 ways I can fix that. It happened on both sides. I just realized. So basically I've got that little mistake. Now on the back side, I think I can just cover it with a hinge and I think we'll be okay. The box isn't perfect. That's life. I'm going to do some sanding, see how it looks. The other thing I could do is I could get out some flat sandpaper and rub it on there back and forth until this is all flat again. Do the same to this, and then we would be all set. So I'm going to think about it for a bit. I'm not going to jump and try to start adjusting things, making any more cuts, anything like that. Take a step back, probably sleep on it, make a decision tomorrow and go with it. I did a little sanding on the lid, was all very, very light with my random orbital sander, and that got us to where, you know, I'm happy with it. So what I've done now is I did one just so I could see how it would go, but I've lined up this first hinge where I want it, gotten my box lid all lined up where I want it. You know, I've got it down flat so it's even on the sides. I'm going to go ahead and punch this hole right here, the center punch, and I'm going to go ahead and drill just a little hole using a 1/16 inch drill bit. These are tiny screws with this set. And as you can see, I'm not going in very far because look at that little itty bitty screw. I even had to go into my other shop and find this little screwdriver because I don't have one this small in the wood shop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pocket rule, set it right up against that, lock that in place, take this over here, take my other little hinge, and this will make them perfectly even with each other now. And then I'm just putting it right on that, seam. Sorry if I'm crossing in front of the camera. We're going to go ahead and punch a hole in the center of this one. Drill that and screw it in. Now, I could put a piece of tape on here to mark how deep to go. I know how deep this wood is, and I'm just making sure I don't go too far. Kind of eyeballed it on the drill bit. We got those all on, and there's our box. We will be adding braces to keep it about like that. So those will be going in shortly. But we'll mark all that and get that on there, and then we have a clasp on the front. So I gotta go tuck girls in, and then we'll do that stuff either tonight or tomorrow. We're back in the shop today. We've taken all the hardware back off of the box, separated out. We're gonna go ahead and do some satin clear lacquer spray on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and space this out. I did just a little bit ago, blow it all out, get all the dust off of it, so it's all set to go. So let's go ahead and get that sprayed. The reason I'm using lacquer is it dries quickly, so in about a half hour I can recoat that, and plus it's a good finish. So I'll go ahead and put a couple more coats on it throughout the day. So just to go over how I finished this box, we put on a few layers of this clear lacquer. Then before the last coat, I took some 400 grit sandpaper, sanded it all down. Don't spray it off. We just went ahead and wiped it with a shop towel, so there's still going to be white dust and haze on here, but it's okay because it's going to fill in the cracks on here. So, and then we went ahead and sprayed it again real high, going left to right, side to side, and went ahead and got it all covered. So now we have our completed box. So I still have a couple spots I think that need a little more finishing, so I'm going to do those a little bit here, and then tomorrow we'll put the hardware back on. Okay, it's crunch time. This box has to be ready to go. So I apologize if I missed any steps or anything of that nature along the way on this project. Please feel free to throw a comment down below. Again, like many of my projects, this is one that I started later than I should have. Had to speed it up, get it done on a time crunch. So I'm going to get the hardware back on it right now because it's going over to the reception hall this afternoon. She still doesn't even know about it. She has seen the box, my daughter, because this is for her quinceanera, but she doesn't know it's for her. We keep telling her, oh, I'm making this box for somebody. And she commented, oh, that's so pretty. Oh, I wish we would have thought of this. We could have used that as a card box at my quinceanera, which is exactly what I built it for, and then for her to have as a keepsake memory box. So I'm going to go ahead and get the hardware back on it. Shouldn't take me too long. And get it over there. And then I just wanted to touch on this. I've got about, I would say, I know the wood was $80 and I still have half of it over there, roughly a little less. So let's round it 50 bucks, 45, 50 bucks this in wood. Maybe another 10 bucks, glue, supplies, all that. So hardware was about 20 bucks. So what are we talking around? 75 bucks, 80-ish bucks total into this box. If I was going to sell this, I would probably be looking to try and get, for this one, a couple $100, and I think that's extremely low. I'm not happy with my miters. There's a couple gaps, some things that I'm nitpicking them because I made it, I get it. Nobody else is seeing these little things, nobody else is gonna notice, but I noticed, so. However, if I was to get that cleaned up, say I built a miter saw, like a sled, crosscut sled, and could do the miters on the table saw, I think I could get more precision out of them. At that point, I think this could be a $500 box all day, if not more. So leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'd also appreciate it if you like this video and like the channel, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment below. For making it this far, go ahead and leave the word 15 for her 15th birthday or quinceanera if you'd like. And see how many comments we get on people who've watched till the end here. So again, thank you. Have a good day. I'm going to get that on there. Thanks.